What's on the president's mind? We know what's on the president's mind. 16 tweets today.
Host of CNN's Reliable Sources and author of its widely read newsletter, Stelter is the network's media watchdog.
On Fox and Friends, Trump is us, Mueller is them.
And the first year of the Trump administration has given him and others in the news media no shortage of things to talk about.
President Trump's fitness for office is now the top story in the country.
But in the wake of Trump, there's another shift happening. Commentators, like Fox's Sean Hannity, have always editorialized.
So President Obama is leaving office the same way he came in, as a rigid and divisive radical ideologue.
But now, even those who describe themselves as objective journalists are rejecting commentary.
How stupid do you think we are? Trump's allies in Washington are covering for him, and they shouldn't get away with it.
And some are going a lot further than that.
The president is ignorant of history. He does not know context. He should be ashamed of himself.
And the facts, blended with opinion, isn't just about Trump, but about the Me Too movement.
But what you have done, in my opinion, is appalling.
Stelter himself has faced some criticism.
I mean this with truly no disrespect, but I think you can border on being sort of quite a ridiculous figure.
So what does Stelter think of journalism's shift toward opinion, and what's driving it?
So let's start with Mr. Wolf. That was, in fact, about a year ago. But I raise it because I'm curious. A year on now, who do you think actually was closer to representing the work of journalists? Did journalists look ridiculous in the way they covered Trump? Or, as you say, that it was about the facts and holding him to account?
Certainly, Wolf was trying to cozy up to the White House in that interview, and it worked for him. The next night, President Trump called him, and it helped him gain access to the White House. Wolf says he found an incredible story at the White House. He says he found that the president is unstable and not fit for office.
And the book is in its, 12th printing or
that's
something
right,
now?
That's right. And I think I knew what Wolf was doing, trying to beat up on me in order to get access. It worked for him and good for him on that.
But
there's different approaches by different journalists.
2 points of view, right, in terms of how the media has covered Trump in the past year. Some saying that it has been kind of shrill and that we've been distracted by tweets and things like that. Others, as you say, saying, no, we have to hold politicians of any stripe at any level to account by fact-checking what they say.
Any president, Democrat, Republican, or some third party that is as misleading, is as loose with the facts as President Trump, is going to be covered the way President Trump is covered. It comes down to the daily dishonesty from the president and his aides. That's a big part of the reason why there's been this more adversarial approach in the coverage in the past year.
So let's talk about, adversarial or editorial. What is driving the editorial bent of a lot of what we're hearing from news anchors today?
I think unusual times do call for unusual approaches, and we see journalists trying many different approaches covering this president. Some dismiss his tweets, say they're no big deal. Other journalists try to fact check every single tweet and call out the most offensive rhetoric that they hear from the president. You might say opinion. I think I would say we're seeing more analysis. We're seeing more context provided in the coverage. And my impression is that the audience is craving context.
Is Don Lemon providing context, or is that going beyond context?
I think the day that the S-hole comments were first published by the Washington Post, you saw different anchors take different approaches. For example, Wolf Blitzer didn't say the word.
Right.
Other anchors did. Some anchors said it was a racist remark. Don Lemon went further and said the president is racist. I think there's room in cable news and television news for a variety of approaches. And I think what's great about CNN is those different anchors could take different approaches all on the same network, and there was room for all of them.
So there's that position that says, look, a journalist's job is to call it as you see it. That's the assignment. On the other hand, we are fighting for a definition of truth in the world of news media. Like, I can't think of any time in my career,
Right.
yours likely.
Right.
So are we giving the audience a mixed message when we talk about truth, fact, that that's what we're about when we are blending opinion at the same time? Are we giving them a mixed message?
I think we need to show our work and show that we know where the facts are. And if we are providing the raw material, providing the raw information to people so they can be sure that we are on the accurate side. If I'm on the air and I'm saying that President Trump is wrong, or any other politician for that matter is wrong about something, I need to back it up and I need to show it. And there's also an element of media literacy to this, that people understand where an anchor or where a network is coming from. That's more vital than ever in this crazed world where there really are two alternative realities. I mean, that is the environment in the United States now when it comes to coverage of President Trump. You have news outlets like CNN and the New York Times trying to figure out what's going on inside the White House. And you have hosts like Sean Hannity defending him no matter what, providing alternative realities. I think at that time, in this environment of this fragmented, fractured media world, it calls for a more aggressive approach in some of the coverage.
And transparency.
Absolutely. And we need to educate our audience why we do what we do and how we do what we do every day in order to gain their trust. When I'm on the air and I have something I need to say either about President Trump or another politician or about a corporation or something, the audience needs to know I'm not just mouthing off. I've thought through what I've said. I've made calls to check the facts first. Sometimes we've done a bad job of telling the audience how we do our jobs. That's why shows like this one I think are important. We need to explain the processes behind the scenes.
Well, I won't disagree with you on that. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.